And today on the Going North podcast, we're bringing some super special, awesome humans from around the globe. Today is no different. Today is no different. Heck, who am I kidding? Today's a special occasion because I got to thank one of the special K's in my life by the name of Kim O'Neill for hooking me up with this super special, awesome human right here, who is known as the Conscious Consultant, y'all. The Conscious Consultant, who is a mentor, coach, speaker, healer, and serial entrepreneur that's been in business since 93, y'all. So my man's been there before Windows 95 and he's still successful, baby. So let's give it up for the wonderful Sam Liebowitz. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Dom.
I can tell it's the first time you heard that one.
Yeah, that was original. I give you that. That was original.
But it's all good. It's all good. Well, congrats, my friend. You're now in the business of immortality for real, this time in book form.
Yep. November 17th, we launch.
That's right, baby. That's right. And then after that, November 17th, folks got to stay woke every day for real now, right?
That's right. That's right. Once you're woke, you can't go back to sleep.
That's right. The only time insomnia is good in this case, metaphorically speaking.
Exactly. Just as long as you take good care of yourself in the process.
Well, amen to that. And speaking of taking good care of yourself, my goodness, 27 years. Like, my goodness. So, for those who don't know all of it yet, mind taking us back a bit and tell us a bit about who is the sensational Sam himself?
Oh, geez. Well, I don't know how long a show we got. 45 hours, you said? Yeah, it could take that long to go through the whole story. But um, I would say the important things to know, the Reader's Digest condensed version. When I was in college, I was kind of put on a very spiritual path because of people I met, friends I made, and the choices I made. And I was on it for a good chunk of time, a good 10 to 13 years. But I ended up having to extricate myself from the situation because it just wasn't serving me. There were a lot of problems, and I was having a lot of difficulty. And when I kind of left that situation, I was kind of like shell shocked. And I was just wandering around, kind of drifting because I just didn't know what to believe in anymore. So I became an entrepreneur. I just focused on making money. But I like to say the universe is going to have its way with you, whether you want it to or not. And so slowly but surely, it kind of nudged me back on my path. Now, I didn't start out thinking I would ever become a healer, a speaker. Well, speaker, yes, because I was on the speech and debate team in college, so I loved speaking. But I mean, being a transformational thought leader, it was the furthest thing from my mind. But what happened was after I got married, um, I kind of dug out some of my old personal development stuff that I listened to, like Tony Robbins, and started going to some of those seminars, started meeting people, went to a local group, and I started taking like all these healing workshops, not to become a healer, but just for my own internal healing. And then sure enough, what happens is that one workshop where, they pair you up with somebody, and I helped a woman release a condition she had since she was 6 years old. And it just floored me. I was like, what? And I thought, oh, like this isn't just for me. Like I can use this to help other people. What do I do with this? Like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a businessman. What do I do with this? And so that's out of that question, kind of the conscious consultant was born about 12, 13, probably 13 years by now, maybe 14. And so I unabashedly have been saying like, look, I've been a business consultant, a coach, a mentor. I've started up several different small businesses in lots of different industries. I'm still kind of a consultant. I'm just a different kind of consultant because now I'm more concerned not about strategy, not about the best marketing techniques. So marketing is important. I'm more concerned about people's consciousness, people's perspective, people's awareness, and where they're operating from. And I've learned so much over this time. And this book is Everyday Awakening. It's kind of a reflection of my own journey that I've gone through over the last several years. And it's a culmination of my writings, my blog posts from the last 5, 6 years. Hired a professional editor, came tightened up the posts, selected out which were the best posts. I had several hundred posts, and pull out the best ones, how to organize it. And then when I finally got it, and I like got it in my hands, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty thick. It's almost 300 pages. And then I started, asking some people for testimonials, and I was floored by what came back. And not just what people said about the book, but who said it. I mean, I had been waiting a while to get this one testimonial from this woman who's been in the transformational space for decades. And when I finally got her testimonial, she wrote to me a personal note, and she said, Sam, I don't give testimonials for books unless I actually read the book. And the reason why it took me so long to get it to you was because I just didn't have time to read it. And so this week I stayed up until 2 a.m. reading your book, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. I love it. Here's my testimonial. And she gave me such a lovely testimonial. Now, keep in mind, this is a woman who had been Deepak Chopra's coach before Deepak Chopra was Deepak Chopra. Okay. So to me, I was just like, oh, like there's some value here. I've like created something that's not just a fancy for my ego. Like there's some real value in here for people. And so I just feel like in this crazy time where people are struggling with the lockdown, the economy, with the change in the economy and the way business is being done, the people are looking for some kind of support. And so I just want to support people, and I want to get this book in as many hands as possible, because I really believe, honestly, in my heart, that it can help a lot of people.
Amen to that, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. And it's amazing that you got a testimonial like that, and she stayed up until 2 a.m. to read the book, because it's a darn good book. I haven't finished it myself. I've went through a first few pages and already made multiple highlights already in the book. And I'm like, dude, I haven't even gotten past page 30 yet. And I'm already highlighted like crazy, like that. So yeah, it's well deserved. And the subtitle, "You Are More Powerful Than You Know," like it's definitely true. Like it's so darn powerful. I'm glad you actually put this book together and actually
Mhm.
polished up and put it out there for the world to see and devour and go out there and make some changes after reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. People are asking me like, well, what's your favorite And they're all like, the thing also that's nice about it is they're all like bite-sized little sections, right?
Mhm.
And the way I look at people using the book, I can just, picture people. They're dealing with something in their life. They don't know what's going on, and they just kind of randomly flip open to a page and they read, oh, when we express ourselves with gentleness, our words are easier to hear. And there's a little, 1 page essay on the importance of gentleness. And so maybe that's a message for somebody about being more gentle with their words when they're speaking with other people. And so it's just that kind of a book. It's easy and to read, and you don't have to read it all at once. You don't even have to read it in order. Just flip open, pick a page, and read it.
Amen to that. So would you figure that may be part of the reasoning behind the title Everyday Awakening, since it's every day you can wake up and pick a different chapter to read?
Yeah, but really, the title for me personally, why I picked it and I like it, is because this isn't for somebody who's like walked a spiritual path, who meditates every day necessarily, or does yoga, or has some big practice. This is for people who are just open to a different way of looking at things, that maybe they've had enough experiences that the regular normal way of approaching stuff just doesn't really quite jive with them anymore, and they're just open for something different. Now, I'm not saying if you're a spiritual person, like, don't read the book. No, 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 no. I mean, there's something here for everybody. But I mean, everyday awakening, I mean, it's for like everyday people, right? It's not for for people who are, want to become monks or studied with gurus, or people who are, super. It's for everyday people, just anyone out there who just is looking for some inspiration, some support, and that message of empowerment that you are more powerful than you know. And that's honestly what I hope people will get when they pick up this book, that by the time they finish reading it, they understand that we have much more power in our lives than we give ourselves credit for.
Hey, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. It's so true. And what do you think is the major reason why that we really don't acknowledge the power that we really have? Because a lot of people have potential, and not everybody taps into any of it. Like not even a small percentage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's probably two main reasons. The first being, it's often beat out of us through our society, right? Society puts pressure on us through many different ways, through our families, our friends, our school system, our business environment, to conform, to fit in, to follow the rules, to not shake the boat. And so when you're trying to be authentic in yourself and different, it gets to be very hard because people give you a hard time. And look, we're very social creature. Nobody wants to be disliked by other people. Nobody wants to other people to shun them and to be a hermit, a pariah, whatever. So I think that's one reason. And then sort of the flip side is we're actually scared of our own power. Marianne Williamson has a beautiful, beautiful quote that says, "It is our light, not our darkness, that we are most afraid of." And I agree with that, because when we understand how powerful we are, that also comes with a certain amount of responsibility and a certain level of understanding that we do affect things much more than we give ourselves credit for, which once we become aware of it, now we're responsible for it. We can't go back to the way we were acting before. We can't be negative, spiteful, hurtful people, because we understand that we're hurting ourselves, and we understand that we're influencing other people, and it makes a big difference in this world. It may not seem like it, but the ripple effects of how we show up in the world, and how we either show up in a supportive, encouraging, helpful manner, or are we showing up in a negative, a destructive manner. If I do that to you, you're going to do that to somebody else. They're going to do that to somebody else. And either it becomes a great opportunity to shift the world into a better way of being, or it becomes a very destructive wave. And once we're aware of that, of the power of our own energy and presence, there's some responsibility. And so we have to take it, I don't want to say seriously, because the most important thing is to actually have fun. Because the more we're having fun, the better we'll do. But to take it with a certain amount of reverence and honor the sacredness of it.
Yes, indeed. And you're so darn right, especially heck with having at least fun being a part of it too, within reason, because it's feel like sometimes folks may forget that they may get so deep into the spiritual piece, or they feel so downtrodden that they forget to smile and even have that smile. And heck, even remember
Right.
even part of your early in the book where it talked about having that wonderful calmness within yourself that really surpasses all understanding.
Right, right, right. To find your true north, you know what? Our true north always feels light and expansive. And what's the surest way to feel light and expansive? Gratitude and joy. And let's face it, we're all attracted to people who are fun and energetic and lively, right? We're just naturally attracted to that kind of energy. But the most important thing is for us to embody that energy. And the funny thing is, when we embody that energy, somehow a miracle happens. We attract other people who are like that.
Oh yeah, you could say that again, and you just make yourself a magnet for positivity and just positive people. So, what would you say would be a step or two someone can take if they want to go into that direction of being that magnet for positive people?
Uh, One of the first things when I work with my coaching clients and people, always, always, always gratitude journal, victory log.
Mm, okay.
You start off your day with gratitude. And the way I like to do it is before you even open your eyes or get out of bed, I'm grateful for all the people in my life. I'm grateful for all the experiences in my life. I'm grateful for all the material possessions I have in my life. And you can even start naming them. Who are all the people in your life? What are the experiences you're grateful for? What are the material things you're grateful for? My apartment, my house, my car, my clothes, whatever it is, to just show gratitude for it. And then the end of the day, a victory log. What were the most joyful moments of the day? What did you do that was wonderful? And it could have been you had a great phone call with someone. You emailed somebody you haven't talked to in years and they responded to you. Somebody reached out to you because they heard you're coming out with a book and they want to interview you. Whatever it happens to be, but just make it real easy. It don't have to be big, huge victories. Little tiny things. You did the dishes today and gave your wife a break, or or you played with your children instead of getting on that call. Whatever it is, even little things, they're little victories that just make us feel good. So then we're like, end of the day, we feel good. We're like, ah, then we sleep so much better, and then we wake up. It's so much easier to be grateful. It's funny how they reinforce each other.
Well, that is gold right there. That was the first time I heard someone refer to at least a journal at the end of the day, creating a victory log. That's
Mm.
amazing. Like that is solid gold right there. I'm gonna start doing that myself. That's freaking awesome, dude.
All right, great. Well, will you have to make a deal for me? Like, let me know after about 3 months what shifts in your life after you've been doing it. Okay.
Alrighty, deal. Deal indeed. Heck, that actually reminds me of a past guest where she mentioned how journals like that can be your basically your book of proof of how far you've come. So that's even
Oh,
that's definitely taking it to the next level right there.
yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have anyone who works with me, they know like that's the basics. That you got to start with that. Of course, then as I work with them more and more, I pile on more things into them to do, and give them more processes and more tools. But those are basics.
Hey, I'm all for the basics because sometimes we get so far ahead we forget the basics and then we get so far deep past the basics into the mud, we come out a mud monster trying to find the basics again.
Yeah, I've always had an appreciation for always for never feeling like, oh, I know the basics, I want to go to the more advanced stuff. That even if it's something I know and I go to some seminar and the guy's talking and it's stuff I've heard before, I still listen to it as if I'm hearing it for the first time, because you just never know what little nuance, what little nugget that you may have heard before but you didn't really hear it, and it might just come to you. And that really, I think, developed because when I was in college, I took some fine art classes, and I had this wonderful teacher, Mr. Stravopoulos, who studied under Matisse. And I studied painting and life drawing with him. And he was always about foundational stuff: structure, 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 structure. What's the underlying structure? And so from that, and I, believe me, I wasn't taking these because I thought I had any artistic talent. I couldn't draw a straight line. I really just did it for my own development, and I just wanted to see, and I saw so much improvement from taking those classes. I really got an appreciation for paying attention to the basics and to constantly reinforce getting better at the basics. So for me personally, I don't care if I've heard it before, I'll listen to it again because I know I can always do better. And when you have a really rock solid foundation with the basics, nothing can knock you over.
Amen. The beauty and the basics, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about indeed. And it's so true because you're so right. It's like we can tend to forget things after a while, and sometimes there are many or small nuances, the way someone may have delivered that message that it really clicks for you. And that
And also we're different usually. But you never really hear the exact same message two times, because who you were when you heard it, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or last month, or even last week, you're a different person now. So you're going to listen with different ears, and you might hear something completely different than you did when you first heard the message way back when. No, it's like going to see an old movie that you saw that you loved, and you've seen it 5, 10 times, and you watch it again and go, wait a minute, I never saw that before. I never noticed that. Oh, you know what? Oh, what that person said, that struck me really differently this time. How come? Because we're different than we were when we first saw it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, man's dropping his truth bombs, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. The sand bombs, baby. That's right. That's what I'm talking about, indeed.
I have to get someone to do a little animation graphic for me of a sand bomb. Boom.
That's right. That's right, indeed. Them bombs of wisdom, baby. So,
Hmm.
since you're a veteran in this wonderful game, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're in guest mode on these wonderful podcasts?
Well, it's actually really interesting, because I've been doing my own show for over 10 years, but I've only recently, because of the book launch, been being interviewed by other people more. Um, but I guess a question I like to be asked is, how do you walk both these paths of like spirituality and consciousness in business? Because I'm really both. And I've always had an appreciation for both. And for me, and believe me, I've had like astrologers look at my chart and tell me, you've got a foot in two worlds. I've had people do a hand analysis on me. Oh, you've got a double lifeline. Like you're like living two lives at once or something like that. So it's like, it's just natural for me. But for me, the way I'm able to live these two worlds is, first of all, I'm always me. I'm authentic. I don't put on airs. I'm not like, I don't show up one place one way and another place another way. I'm me wherever I go, but I don't see a distinction in them. Anything can be a spiritual practice. Washing dishes, cl- cleaning the streets, trimming hedges, whatever kind of work you do, filling out a spreadsheet, it can all be a spiritual practice, depending on how we show up and what we bring to it. And the spiritual rules of give and receive, they're fundamental principles of business. When you give value, you receive your reward. And actually, there have been some amazing people who've wrote some very awesome books about how to apply deep spiritual principles to the business world. One of my favorite ones is The Diamond Cutter by Geshe Michael Roach, who was
Mm.
a Buddhist monk, and his lama like kicked him out one day and said, you got to go apply these principles and go make money. And he ended up getting into the diamond business, and he applied, and he talks in his book about how he applied these different Buddhist principles and sutras to the business world. And it wasn't always easy for him to do, but he did it. And because they ended up being so successful because of these practices and principles, they ended up incorporating them into the business, and the business eventually got sold for $250 million to Warren Buffett.
Mm.
So they work because they're based on fundamental laws of nature. They work in our personal life, our spiritual life, our relationships, our jobs, our careers, our businesses. Even if we're going to volunteer and contribute in some way, these principles work. And that's why they're essential, and they're timeless truths in a way.
Heck, you could say that again. And it's so darn true. And I feel like folks are moving more towards that, at least from folks that I've been meeting in the past couple of years, is that they're really combining both spiritual principles along with their business, because really, like, spiritual business is really where the earth started, where it all started. And that's where
Right.
all success comes. And folks may not acknowledge it, but at the end of the day, we're all gotta abide by the laws of nature and the laws, even if they're spiritual or non-spiritual. At the end of the day, it comes from the spirit because it's a spiritual
Right.
being.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Look, even physics has shown us that we're we're all energy. You know, we think we're hard solid matter. We're not. We're these little tiny particles. They're not even particles. They're waves or strings or vibrations. You know, they're not even too sure. But the one thing we do know is the closer and closer we look to what we're made of, the less and less and less and less we see, and the less and less solid it is. So we're all made up of energy. This whole universe is made up of energy. What is energy? Consciousness, spirit. So and look, I'm not about changing anybody's belief systems. I don't care what you believe in, where you're coming from. It's not about that. It's about just understanding we're all energy. We're all interconnected. We're all so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And when we allow ourselves to just even in the smallest tiniest way embody that energy a little bit more, like miracles can happen. Miracles.
Ah, yes, indeed. Miracles, baby. Gotta love it. The mighty miracles. And heck, even what I love about your background is that you're combining both spirit and business. And it seems like, I believe, 13 or 14 years now since you discovered the spiritual side. So, what's probably been the major thing that helped you to really get more comfortable in that spiritual space over the years and actually stay strong with it?
Hmm. Hmm. Ah, what's helped me to stay strong with it over all these years? I guess because it helped me to develop a better sense of self in a way. And the things that I do, they've also helped me to accept myself as more human, to be easier on myself, to not be so harsh and so judgmental of myself. And I find that as I become more accepting of myself, with all my warts, all my flaws, all my, you know, crap, that I'm able to show up better for other people. And it's kind of this amazing thing that when we do the work for ourselves and we do the deep inner work, we feel better, we live better, and then we're able to affect other people in a much more profound and positive way. And I've just seen the changes. I've just seen what's happened in my own life. I just it's the benefit of it is irrefutable to me. And but everyone has to live their own path. Everyone has to walk their own path and find their own truth and what is right and what works for them. The key is just not to ignore when things aren't working.
Hmm.
The key is not to ignore when there is some pain, when there is some challenge or some difficulty, to not ignore it, but to look at it as a signal. You know, it doesn't mean you're bad, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that maybe there's a different way. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe it's just life is trying to tell you to try something else.
Ah, there we go. Good stuff right there. Because it's so true. Because a lot of folks tend to live with their pain long, even after they discover the source of it, because they've gotten so comfortable with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember I did a healing demonstration for a group once, and I said, you know, I'm asked for volunteers, and this woman comes up and goes, I've had this pain in my wrist for 2 years. I bet you can't get rid of it. I go, okay, let me try. So I work on her like just 5 minutes, no big deal. And I was like, so how do you feel now? The same or different? And she goes, oh, it's still that. Oh, wait a minute. Where did my friend go? And the whole audience cracked up laughing. Where did your friend go? I said to her. No wonder you've had it for 2 years because you made it your friend.
Mm. My goodness. Where did my friend go? Okay. Does she have a name for it too?
I actually didn't ask the name of her friend, but it was so funny because she was like, she wasn't even aware of it, and like the whole audience got it, and she didn't even get it until I kind of pointed it out there, and then she was like, oh, oh, oh.
Uh, yeah, that's definitely next level stuff. Like that's one heck of a story too. My goodness.
One of the good things about being born Jewish, you're just a natural born storyteller.
Hey, I'm all for stories. That's how we learn and transfer information all these many years.
Yep, absolutely. That's where all the oral traditions come from. They're based on story. You learn to tell the story over and over again. You hear it, you hear it, you hear it, and then you tell it yourself. And that's how it gets passed down generation to generation to generation.
Heck yeah. Well, since we mentioned storytelling, any advice for those looking to become future better storytellers from your experience?
Hmm. Remember, it's all about the journey. Right, what is the journey you want to take your reader on? What is the journey? Even you're speaking from stage, or you're doing a podcast, whatever it is. What is the journey? Where is your audience when they start? Where do you want them to be when they finish? And as long as we keep in mind the journey, the rest of it kind of naturally unfolds. And then there's the little twists and turns, and there's all kinds of devices. There are challenges, and you meet the wise sage, and you go off to do battle, and you come back, and whatever it is. But it's all a journey, and that's the thing, is it's you taking your audience with you on your journey.
Ah, there we go. That's so true because everybody loves a good journey every once in a while, even though we all want the results of the journey quicker than the actual journey itself.
Absolutely, we want it all yesterday, don't we?
Yes. Oh man. Woo. Well, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive since we're on these wonderful journeys, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the year of
Ooh.
2020, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, I love that one. If it was today and I was 25, don't rush it. You got time, enjoy it, regardless of what's going on around you. It doesn't matter whether there's a pandemic, it doesn't matter what kind of economy you're working in. Enjoy the journey. Find a way to just enjoy every single day. Enjoy the good times and the bad. Enjoy the lessons. Enjoy the rewards. Just enjoy the journey, because all of life is lived in the dash. You know what that dash is? The dash is the dash on your tombstone between your date of birth and your date of death, because those two dates are just endpoints. Life is lived in the dash in between.
Yeah, another sand bomb, baby, because it's so darn true, baby. That dash indeed. It doesn't even have to be Mrs. Dash. That's a wonderful dash. Oh man, it's so darn true. And that even something that we all need to be reminded of. Sometimes we don't have to rush things. It's better to
Yeah.
take your time, especially nowadays where we want everything yesterday.
Right. Well, you know what? If the one good thing about this pandemic, it slowed everything down. I remember back in March and April, everyone was like, things were so crazy before. I wanted the world to stop, but I didn't mean it would be like this. Well, now it stopped. Right. And we had this opportunity. We couldn't go outside, so it was time to go inside. And from what I see from the people I talk to, the people who are able to go inward when we're not able to go outward, they're the ones who are thriving the best in this environment. And that's, for me, I have no problem going inward. It's been a lifelong practice for me. So yes, if you can't go out, go in and enjoy the ride.
Amen to that. Definitely got to go in indeed. And especially if going in for those who are on the audio version and they want to keep in magical contact with you, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you and snag some copies of your book?
So the best way to get in touch with me in general is through my website. That's www.theconsciousconsultant.com. And if you want to get the book, it's again November 17th. It'll be everywhere: Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, all the major booksellers. And I have a link that'll take you right to the ebook on Amazon, and that link is everydayawakeningbook.com, and that'll take you right to the book. Now, want your listeners to know that if they get a copy of the book, they should then go over to my website. And on theconsciousconsultant.com, there's a little link in the menu that says Sam's book. And if you click on that link, it'll take you to a page where if you put in your name and your email address and the receipt number of the purchase of the book, you'll get access to about half a dozen different programs and meditations and things for free. For free. It's like close to $3,000 worth of gifts for you. And I'm actually selling the Kindle version for just 99 cents until a couple of days after launch. So snag that 99-cent copy. You're going to get a bunch of gifts. It'll be so worth it. I just want to give value. So everydayawakeningbook.com. And then from there, go to theconsciousconsultant.com, click on the book link, put your name, email address, receipt number in there, claim your gifts. You'll love them.
Woo, sweet. Well, there you have it, folks. Gifts are always great, especially in this holiday season that we're in. That's fast approaching. That'll fast probably disappear too, the way it's going. So make sure you snag the ebook version. Snag both the ebook and the paperback version, so that way you can snag both and have access to both indeed, so you can really stay woke every day. That's right.
There we go. All right.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
So any parting words before we close up shop, Sam?
I guess it's I just want people to know that, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you on your journey. And really, life can be magical. Life can be beautiful. Stop judging based on our limited perspective today of what's going on, about whether things are good or bad. Just put it off for one day. Just wait one day. And if you can get into that practice, that daily practice of just not judging whether things are good or bad in your life, maybe eventually you can just accept them for what they are. And you can just enjoy life a little bit more and know that life happens for us, not to us. Everything is here to serve us in some way. May not always be comfortable, may not always be easy, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's all here to serve us in some way. Thank you, Dom. I really appreciate you having me on your show.